you all are having a wonderful time. Today, I'd like to share my experience of using this Yulong Audio DAT or DAT Aquila 3 digital to analog converter. It also features the headphone amplifier as well as pre-amplifier stage as well. So I will get to the detailed features and functions and sound quality that I tested out in my system. So this one is using Asahi Kasei AKM4499EX chip with AKM4191 EQ modulator chip. But according to Yulong Audio, incoming digital signal go through proprietary FPGA chip and demodulated digital. The purer signal is transferred to digital to analog converter chips via I2S connection internally to give you purest sound possible. So that is really nice to know that the way that they process the incoming digital signal. Before we get to the sound quality, let's go through the menu system here real quick. To get into the menu, just hit this main volume control knob button, and you can also do the input selector, USB, coaxial, optical, AES, all the input that you can select. So right now I'm going to leave it at the USB, and I'm using it as the pure DAC, but you can change it to preamp as well as head amp. If you select pure DAC, the volume control is going to be max level, but primarily I use it as a pure DAC. So next one is the filter selection. So filter selection, you can do sharp, short, and slow. So mainly I use the sharp roll off. That is the standard. You can play around with it. And next one is clock selection, clock 1 and clock 2. Let me go ahead. Clock number 2 and clock 1. So clock 1 is a Yulong Audio sound signature. Clock number 2 is Asahi Kasei AKM4499EX digital to analog converter chip, a pure sound signature which has a slightly deeper and more better bass quality and control in my system using the clock 2, so which I use. So if you hit and hold this main button, it will take you to what you are playing, or you can do the analyzer, spectrum analyzer, or this resolution feature. Next one is screen on and off. If you do screen off, the screen will turn off automatically after a few seconds. And then if you want to get back on, hit this main button and hit and hold again, and it will take you back to the menu. So I'm going to leave it on, then I hold again, then it will take you to this resolution or spectrum analyzer. So whichever one you prefer, you can choose from it. So I'm going to leave it as right now like this. This one doesn't say it support MQA. So that is all the features that come with it, and fit and finish and quality is very well reflected to the asking price. And overall design and everything is very unique and nice to touch, and even this enclosure is soft to touch and really nice soft feeling to it when you touch it. This one doesn't have any remote control, so that is a little downside. I tried this Aquila 3 in a few different systems. Try with my older Denon PMA 2004R, just connecting with RCA connection, feeding coaxial or optical or USB input, and it sounded very clean, clear, and pretty quiet. And when I move them to this system, I pair them with this JBL L100 Classic 75th, this leather bug Class A R2R preamplifier, and the iSpower 500 watts Class D mono blocks driving these speakers. So, and also I tried them as a pre-DAC, so I will get to that later. When I tried the headphone stage, I was using Veron 1 planar magnetic headphone. I tried a few different type of a connection, in the end, I prefer XLR balanced output from this that Aquila 3 headphone stage. So regular 6.3 millimeter output is very transparent, but the balanced XLR output take it to a little bit better resolution and better instrument separation. But if I do the 4.4 millimeter balance, it sounded probably due to the cable, I think, because it sounded a little bit congested. So I need to have a better cable for that. But overall, headphone stage is clean and control and really good driving power, which it can put out 4 watts of power output to drive your headphones efficiently. And another good feature that I like about this that Aquila 3 is if you are using headphone stage, that is a headphone stage plus digital to analog converter. But if you connect the output to your preamplifier or your amplifier, the speaker will not output any sound, so which makes it quieter in my opinion in the internally, because a lot of these kind of DAC with headphone stages, they will output simultaneously altogether, which is not my favorite thing. So I like to have separate features. So that is a really good feature in my opinion. When I'm using as a pre-DAC is same thing. And another thing that I run into was a little glitches, right? Which is it doesn't really work well with my music server connecting via USB cable. It kind of, time to time, few notes will drop out. So I end up, most of my music listening, I end up using Audiavana with my MacBook Pro, playing all the music that I have in there, and I also stream a little bit of music. So overall noise floor and sound quality and everything, it feeded can reproduce very honest sound reproduction. So very good digital to analog conversion with very nice and wide soundstage. So in this price point, probably this DAC has a widest soundstage that I have ever experienced compared to even other AKM chip based DAC or ESS chip based DAC. So I had Topping E70 Velvet to compare, and Topping E70 Velvet is slightly denser and less resolution compared to this. And when I compare to SMS D400EX, D400EX just simply take it to next level in terms of refinement in overall sound reproduction. But the sound stage, this Yulong really, Aquila 3 really shows wider and deeper soundstage, especially width of the soundstage is very good. And overall stereo image is very good, but not as precise as I would like to hear. So when I was pairing with Audiavana and my MacBook Pro, soundstage is deep and really rich and well defined, but bass quality, articulation and bass definition and resolution in the lower notes are not as good as playing through my Sony Music server. I like the way they sound with this feeding from that Sony Music server, but when I tried that Audiavana via MacBook Pro, it also gives me really good sound signature and very good quality music, but it not as high in resolution as the Sony can produce. So that is my experience that I like to point out. Next thing is using it as a preamplifier as well as digital to analog converter. I connected all the cables and driving very same amplifier and speaker. So when I enable the pre-stage, so the background, the noise, especially because I was pairing with the Class D amps, if you have a quieter amp, it may not be as obvious, but it will still be there, because when I do that, the background noise is really noticeable, the background white noise when you turn it on. So that is no go for me in terms of as a preamplifier stage. When I pair with this leather book, it's absolutely quiet in background noise. Using as a preamp, what I don't like is that kind of a noise, as well as soundscape and scale is a bit smaller and a little bit thinner in upper mid-range area. That is always has been issue for me with these kind of DACs. If you use them as a pre-DAC, many of them will do that. To summarize, the overall price and performance and sound quality that you are getting is as good as it can be in this price point. Pre-stage may not be the best choice, but if you're gonna go with a headphone amp or pure DAC, it can work well, and it will be great choice for you to have, especially it can deliver honest sound quality for the price that you can have, as well as really wide soundscape with very good stereo image. Another standout feature for me is whether I'm using this JBL L100 Classic or the Pioneer TED S1EX and driving these Class D amps, and what I can notice is the bass quality, deep and rich bass quality that it can produce, as well as very good control with really articulate notes that it can produce, so which is very impressive in my opinion, using this Leatherbug as a preamplifier. And another thing is it has here two different type of clock that you can choose from. Clock number one is the Yulong Audio House sound signature that they configure to have really closer to analog like sound signature, softer side of bass attack, but it can still give you very well defined notes. But if you like me, if you like really nice bass attack and more vivid and really articulate notes, clock number two is slightly better choice. So overall soundscape is comparable, but I prefer clock number two with filter set to sharp roll off. If you're gonna buy $1,000 range of a DAC, but you still want the pre-stage or headphone stage, I would recommend headphone stage more than pre-stage, because it will be better sounding headphone stage that pretty much it can drive any headphone that you throw at them. Forward for headphone stage is pretty impressive. So power and price and sound quality and everything combined, in my opinion, this Yulong Audio DAT Aquila 3 is the great buy. Highly recommended, my friend. Thank you very much for watching and happy listening.
the sky. It's the color of love. There must have been an angel by my side. Something heavenly came down from above. He led me to you. He led me to you. He
On the bass, Mr. Torugoe Keisuke-san. On the guitar, Onima Yosuke-san.